Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging with us. Hope that work week's off to a good start. Denton Day, 30 minutes from right now. We'll talk some Lane Kiffin with him and some other things in college football. I got to tell you this, Jordan. Made my picks back on Friday.
Yep.
And I'll tell you this. I had Missouri, and they covered.
Yep.
It was 6.5 was the line. Missouri easily covered against Mississippi State. So
Shout
it was
out
a
Mizzou.
great finish to the day.
Yeah.
Let's see how the rest of the day went. I had Texas A&M minus 19.5.
Oof.
I had Alabama minus 5.5.
Oof.
They lost. I had Tennessee minus 40.5.
What did they do? They ain't covered. Oof.
They won by like 36. I had Ole Miss minus 11.5.
Oh, I know.
They won by 10. That didn't get there. And I had Texas plus 6.5.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's my fault.
1-5. 1-5 on the picks from Friday. That brings our season-long total, unfortunately, to 37-51. 14 games under 500 and completely unrecoverable.
Yeah, I can't even give you a spin zone for that one. That's just, yeah, man.
So, if we're going to talk about complete and total failures like me, let's talk about South Carolina's football team, shall we?
Please start with them. Let's go.
I'm in the press box. Marler's there. He works for us, LouisianaSports.net, handles our social media, but he also handles Locked On Gamecocks. And so he's watching South Carolina and A&M. And look, A&M is playing just atrocious football. They're down 30-3 before at halftime.
Oh, yeah, I felt good.
And I looked at Marler and I said, A&M's going to win by double digits. That's what I told him. And they probably could have if they didn't throw the ball backwards from the 3-yard line and fumble. But they could have because they just whitewashed South Carolina, who couldn't score a freaking point in the second half or get a stop like anywhere.
Yep.
South Carolina probably dropped 4 interceptions in that game on Saturday. And they just choked on applesauce the entire second half against Texas A&M. I was envisioning a scenario where A&M loses to South Carolina, who's abysmal, by the way, and then gets beat by Texas to go 10-2, but a 10-2 with such a bad resume that they don't make the playoff. I thought that was on the table.
It was close.
And it didn't happen.
It was close.
Because South Carolina stinks. A&M is pretty good, but the fact remains that all the teams they play are terrible. So that was also evidenced on Saturday. I was looking for the meltdown in College Station. We did not get it, and they're 10-0 at this point. Play some joke team this week, and then Texas at the end of the season. I do think I read something that said if they lose to Texas, that them and Ole Miss will be out of the SEC championship game. It would be Bama, Georgia, which I'm for. I like that. I would much rather that than Ole Miss or A&M getting to Atlanta for the first time. I like to dangle that carrot over their heads that they've never been. So we got to see. But Texas is going to have to beat them, and I don't have any confidence in that after what I watched on Saturday night.
I'm sorry.
As far as Oklahoma and Bama, what an incredible job by Brent Venables. The last 2 weeks, they go on the road and beat 2 top 15 teams on the road. They go to Neyland and win, to Bryant-Denny and win. And I'll just say this. I'll say this. I have one piece of advice for Kalen DeBoer. One little piece of advice. I don't know if he's listening to the show. I'm not sure what he does on Mondays. Probably locks us in from 1 to 3 every Monday from his office. But I had to guess. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But here's the one piece of advice I have. Do not lose that Iron Bowl.
Ooh.
Do not follow up a 4-loss season with a 3-loss season that includes losing to an Auburn team that fired its coach. Now, I'm telling you this. In 2 weeks, fired coach, bad season, disastrous offense, the whole deal. Like they're keeping their red shirt on their new quarterback. So Jackson Arnold's going to have to play. That Auburn fan base will fill Jordan-Hare Stadium to the brim, and they will be ready to play Alabama. Now, Bama will probably beat them. But if they expect Auburn to lay down because Auburn's bad, forget it. That fan base is so proud and that game means so much, they will be ready to play. And if Kalen DeBoer loses that game, he is in big trouble.
It was hot.
He's not getting fired the next day, but he will have lost that fan base, period. And the thing with Alabama this year, and I said this entering the LSU game, even after the LSU game, go back and listen to Monday's show. I just don't think Bama's a championship threat because they don't run the ball and they don't stop the run. And if you don't do those two things, like, yeah, Simpson looks pretty good. Yeah, Ryan Williams is a star. Yeah, like you've got playmakers and weapons, but you don't do the physical things. And you can't beat the best teams when you can't do the physical things. And that's a problem with Kalen DeBoer's Alabama team on both sides of the ball right now. And they get 4th and 1, and they got to dial up a little toss reverse to pick up the yard because they know if they hand the ball off and try to go forward on Oklahoma's defense, they're getting stopped.
And Hunt, that is so blasphemous with Alabama football in the past that they have to get cute to get 1 yard.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's where they are. And they're pretty good. They're a pretty good team. And pretty good is pretty good a lot of places.
Yeah.
That fan base won't tolerate it. They think they're entitled to fall out of the bed, and we're just awesome. Well, the news is Saban made you awesome.
Yep.
Bear made you awesome. Mike DeBose didn't do that. Mike Shula didn't do that. So maybe Kalen DeBoer is really good and will win 2 championships there. Maybe he's not that good, but they're beholden to him. And I'm just telling you, losing to Oklahoma is one thing, and losing 2 games is one thing. You go lose to that Auburn team and lose the Iron Bowl and don't go to the playoff 2 years in a row, it's going to be a tough scene there in T-Town. So long 2 weeks ahead for Kalen DeBoer here. We talked about Florida and Ole Miss. That was just a big Lane Kiffin saga. But then you got Texas, Georgia. And look, Georgia is just good. And it's really hard to go in there and win in Athens. Bama did it early this year. Big credit to them for that. Nobody else has done it in 5 years. And Kirby had a great line afterward, nowadays guys want checks. And if you don't have the physicality part of this thing, you're not getting anything. And you got to be physical. And Georgia was physical. And they just looked to me the better team. They looked to be the better roster. They looked to be more physical, tougher. And I was listening to one podcast today that suggested that maybe Sark could lose his job if A&M goes in there and beats them pretty bad.
Ooh,
that seems to be a little ambitious to me. I don't know. That just seems ambitious to me. But it was clear on Saturday that Georgia was the better team. That version of Georgia, I think, is a threat to make some real noise.
Yes.
But you've seen some versions of Georgia where they play a little bit down to competition. It just doesn't look that great. But look, when Ole Miss came in there and when Texas came in there, they were ready to play in those games, and they played really, really well. So let's look around the Southeastern Conference here on this Monday. Here's what we're going to do based on the time. I want to get to Denton in 20 minutes. When we come back, LSU has a new plan at quarterback here moving forward. Frank Wilson talked about that. And we'll talk a little NFC South as well. We'll kind of put 2 segments into one. Then we'll get to Denton at the bottom of the hour. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'll go ahead and make this announcement now, even though we'll have a post a little bit later this afternoon. I'm going to Swing Easy Golf Club on Sunday. And I'm going to turn on the simulator to the 7th hole at Pebble Beach. It's a 98-yard par 3. And we're going to stream it live on YouTube on Sunday at 11 o'clock until I make a hole-in-one. So maybe it'll be in the first hour. I might be there for 5 hours. Who knows how long it's going to take me to try to make a hole-in-one. But you're going to be able to guess how many shots it will take me to make a hole-in-one on the Instagram. And you can win swag bag, win a membership to Swing Easy Golf Club. We're going to have a great prize pack to give away for the winner of who guesses how many shots it takes me to make a hole-in-one on a 98-yard hole on the simulator. And we're going to live stream it on our YouTube channel on Sunday. So be looking for that post later today. I'm headed to Swing Easy after I get off the air today. We're going to make that promo. We're going to make that post. You can make that, make your guess, and you'll have an opportunity to win based on how many shots it takes me to make a hole-in-one. It's Swing Easy Golf Club right there on Seagan at Perkins. I'll be there today. I'll be there on Sunday. Win some stuff. Go and follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at 1045 ESPN and get ready to win from Swing Easy Golf Club.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, so news out of Atlanta today with the Falcons. Michael Penix has some structural damage to his knee. He's going to be placed on injured reserve. The report from Pro Football Talk that I'm reading here says he aggravated a bone bruise and knee sprain he initially suffered earlier in the season. There's been damage to his ACL. If you'll remember, Penix had 2 ACL surgeries in his right knee in college. This is the left knee. But he may be done for the year. It looks like at least 4 weeks. And that means you'll see Kirk Cousins in this game against New Orleans coming up on Sunday. But you look at the Saints' schedule, and you see that it just starts to break really nicely for this team. I don't know whether or not Kirk Cousins is better or worse than Michael Penix day to day. It probably depends. If you're talking about for the price tag, Michael Penix is way better because he's really cheap and Kirk Cousins is not. But as far as the actual play on the field, it's probably negligible. But still, like, it's not the guy that the Falcons wanted to put on the field. So you're going to see, quote unquote, a backup quarterback here for New Orleans. And it starts a stretch of games that, like, you've got a real chance to compete in. You've got a chance against the Falcons at home with, quote unquote, backup quarterback. You go to Miami. I realize they've played a little bit better of late, but that's not a very good team. Now, at Tampa is going to be difficult to win, no doubt. But then you've got the Panthers. You've got the Jets. Both those are home games. You're at the Titans. And then you finish with the Falcons, who we don't think Penix will be available for that one either. So you're catching Atlanta twice without a guy under center that they want to put there. So I'm curious on how Saints fans feel about the ability to win games. I have said for the entirety of the season, I'm not here to evaluate quarterbacks based on their win-loss record in New Orleans this year. I understand you, quote the great Herm Edwards, you play to win the game, so that's the most important stat, but I don't know that it's the most important stat for these Saints this year. Like, I would much rather Tyler Shuck go out there and throw for 311 and 3 touchdowns with an 80% completion rate, and the Saints defense kind of get gashed and you get a punt blocked and you lose a game, then the Saints win 13-9 because and Shuck turns it over 3 times. Like, that to me, I would prefer the good quarterback play to the actual wins and losses, and plus you have the draft to consider. Now, if Shuck plays great and they win 4 of these games and your draft situation moves back towards 10 or 11, like, that's a good problem to have, right? Because your quarterback obviously played pretty well. But you look at the schedule and you feel like starting this week, and I haven't even mentioned that Drake London's hurt and is not going to play in this game. So Atlanta is going to be significantly banged up at really important positions on their roster for New Orleans on Sunday. I think this becomes a game that you feel like is pretty winnable on your home field. I think that while it's been a kind of a malaise that Saints fans have been in for the last 6 weeks, you get a win over the Panthers, and then Shuck plays pretty well in that game, and you come off a bye week, and so the vibes are pretty good. Plus you add in that it's Atlanta, plus you add in it's a backup quarterback. I feel like that's going to lead to a decent environment inside the Dome on Sunday, and maybe that gives you a little bit of momentum, a little shot of life, and all of a sudden you feel like you can turn the corner in the second half of the season and maybe go get a 3rd win in a row against the Dolphins. I realize I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't feel that bad about it. I don't feel that bad about getting ahead of myself. I don't feel that bad about feeling positive after feeling so negative for so long. We had a whole segment back on Friday about how I think Mickey Loomis is doing an awful job, and I didn't think Gail Benson had very good quotes about it. I'm plenty critical when there needs to be something to be critical about. But maybe the vibes are a little bit better this week. Clearly the vibes are not great in Atlanta. That's a real bummer for them, and I'm certainly not here to celebrate an injury. I know people around here don't like Atlanta very much, but I'm not here to celebrate an injury, but I can look at an opportunity. And if you see that the Falcons are on the schedule twice more, they don't have the guy that they want. Maybe Drake London's out. I mean, this is the Bijan show. And if you can show up and shut that down in the same way that you shut down a really good running game in Rico Dowdle with the Panthers before the bye week, like all of a sudden you might start to get things moving in the right direction. And keep in mind, like, we knew this was going to be a bumpy season for New Orleans. We knew that. But you did always think, but if they can kind of get to the bye week, like, maybe. And, like, you didn't really get to the bye week because you lost all but 2 games. But now you're here, and the last game before the bye week was a win. So maybe there's something to build on this week as Atlanta comes into the Dome. How are we feeling about it, Jordan? We feeling reasonably optimistic, or we're still just the team stinks?
Forget the optimist. I feel like the W's we already won the game. The game's already won.
This is a man.
I'm coming out on Monday.
Man who hates the Falcons.
Oh yeah, man. It's the Falcons week, so I'm fired up. We have the opportunity to put the fork in the Falcons, man. I couldn't want it no better way. And you have an opportunity where Tyler Shuck can go out there and really just put the fork in the Dirty Birds in their season, in their suffering. I need that more than I need air to breathe. Okay. I feel so great about this. It wasn't like Michael Penix was lighting the world on fire. It ain't like, old man Kirk Cousins finna. I don't care about none of that. You have an opportunity to kill the Falcons. We are going to end their season. And we're in the Dome off the bye week? Oh, no. The same way how you was talking about trajectory, Saints are kind of looking up a little. No, I ain't getting too far ahead of myself. We ain't looking up like, okay, the better days are coming. But we look better than them. We look way better than them. So I think if you ask me right now on Monday, November 17th, I think the Saints, it ain't going to be a barn burner. It ain't going to be like, we boat racing them. But I think the Saints are going to make a statement. Tyler Shuck is going to make a statement and just put the fork in them. If you don't, oh, Lord. This is going to look stupid. Yeah, we're back. We're back. We're back at the bottom, but, this is opportunity.
It's fun to have a little optimism. We haven't had optimism around here in a while. I'm going to shed a little bit of optimistic light on that. We'll see what the Saints can do against the Falcons coming up. Late afternoon kick from the Dome on Fox. All right, switching over to LSU before we get to Denton Day. It was announced today by Frank Wilson. So there's a report, the Advocate had it first, and we followed up at LouisianaSports.net. On Saturday, Colin Hurley has left the team. He did not travel with the team to Tuscaloosa, and he did not make an appearance at the game on Saturday. Matt Moscona asked Frank Wilson about that today, and Frank Wilson said that is not a permanent situation. It's a temporary leave for personal reasons, and that they would welcome him back when the time is right. So right now, you look at things, and Garrett Nussmeier's in street clothes. He's got an injury to the oblique, okay? So he's hurt. And Colin Hurley is not with the team. So Michael Van Buren is your quarterback. You've got Juwan Johnson, who can go over there and do some things at quarterback. He worked with the quarterbacks in the spring. And then you've got Emil Picarella, who is a freshman walk-on from U-High, who is essentially next up. I don't know exactly what the order is behind Van Buren. It's Johnson and Picarella. I don't know how much Juwan is capable of doing at this point after working with the running backs since fall camp. And I don't know how competent Picarella is at all in running the offense. It's really Van Buren's show, but they're razor thin at the quarterback spot if Garrett Nussmeier can't go. We'll continue to get information on that, but it feels like Nussmeier may be a long shot for Saturday based on the fact that he was in street clothes. This is a nagging injury that's been there all season. Feels like the opportunity to re-aggravate that would be present. If he did it in practice, you got to feel like there's a good chance he could do it in a game. I don't know. There hasn't been a report to that. We'll find out teleconference Wednesday, injury report Wednesday, press conference Thursday. We'll continue to monitor that throughout the week. But if Nuss cannot go, you're one Michael Van Buren tweaked ankle from having no quarterback. Like Juwan Johnson is not an SEC quarterback in my estimation right now, and Emil Picarella is a walk-on. So it's a tenuous situation for LSU at the quarterback spot. I was on Chuck Oliver's show earlier today, and in Atlanta, and they said, what's the future of that position? And I said, I don't know the future of anything in this program right now, anything, because you don't have a head coach that is going to be there for next year. That can change the entire staff on both sides of the football, and quarterbacks transfer in and out like crazy. So I think I honestly would suggest right now, if you made me bet a crisp $5 bill, like, is LSU's 2026 quarterback on the roster? I would probably bet no. Like, Michael Van Buren's got a great chance to be that if he decides to stay and wants to compete and ends up winning the job for whoever the head coach is and whoever the offensive coordinator is. I'm not dismissing him as a possibility. I'm just playing the odds, and based on what this thing looks like, you bring a new head coach in, maybe he brings his quarterback in, or you get into the portal and you go get the hot name that's available this year in December. Like, I don't know how it goes, but I don't have anything definitive to say about LSU's quarterbacks of the future right now. All you can worry about right now is that you got a game to play on Saturday and another one to play the Saturday after that, you've got a starting quarterback who can't throw. You've got a third-team quarterback who's not with the team. You've got a fourth-team quarterback who's a running back and a fifth-team quarterback that's a walk-on. It's really Michael Van Buren or bust at this point. And you like to use his ability to run a little bit, but unfortunately, like that opens him up and makes him susceptible to taking hits and getting hurt. And so does an offensive line that's struggling to protect. So it's a really tough spot to be in if you're LSU right now. We've watched John Troy Kirkland play quarterback in a bowl game. I don't really want to try to watch that again, quite frankly. But it's not a great spot. But hopefully Colin Hurley can come back and rejoin the team. Not here to report on what it is that has him away from the team at this point. But Frank Wilson did say that it's not a permanent situation, that they could welcome him back. So we'll see. But LSU's quarterback situation that looked so healthy, back 13 months ago. And then all of a sudden you lose Bryce Underwood and you lose a couple backups and you go get Van Buren, but then Hurley steps away from the team. And it's been a bit of a mess at the quarterback spot, and it just hasn't been gone the way that we thought it would go this year. Right now, I think it's Michael Van Buren's football team against Western Kentucky. We'll see what the future holds against Oklahoma, and then who knows what happens in a bowl game. All bets are off for that one for sure. But it appears that Michael Van Buren's not going to keep that red shirt because he plays in one more game. That red shirt is done. So I find it very hard to imagine that LSU is going to send a walk-on out there to play quarterback and preserve Michael Van Buren's red shirt on Saturday. Anything's possible, but I think Van Buren's the guy. And as I mentioned last week, like burning that red shirt sounds awful on its face, but if he can go out there and play 2 good football games, you're negotiating for your next revenue share contract, and your share of that money goes up if you play really well. It doesn't go up as much if you don't play at all. So we'll see what Michael Van Buren can do in the game on Saturday against Western Kentucky. Incidentally, that Oklahoma game did get news on kickoff time for that. LSU Oklahoma Saturday after Thanksgiving, 2:30 Central Time on either ABC or ESPN. That has not been decided yet, but it will be a 2:30 kickoff between LSU and Oklahoma from Norman on Thanksgiving weekend. All right, let's step aside. Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Like storm season's always right around the corner. We got through this one unscathed. We like that. But you know the next one's coming. Make sure your property policy is written properly. Make sure your auto policy is written properly. Make sure your cyber, EPL, umbrella policies are written properly. It's not something that business owners generally spend a ton of time looking at or thinking about. But you don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive with your commercial insurance. The Howland Insurance Group will do that. They are an independent broker. They've got contracts with dozens of carriers, and they'll know where your business should be placed, and they'll know how your policy should read. Let them audit your policy for free to see if they can find some potential issues. And if they do, they'd love to fix them for you. It's the Howland Insurance Group, Jonathan Carver and his team, just a group of experts over there at the Howland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Denton Day, SiriusXM, College Football Overtime Fridays and Saturdays. He's with us on Mondays. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Denton, how we doing?
Hunt, what's up, man? It was a fun weekend. The SEC title picture looks a lot more complex than it did 3 days ago.
No thanks to South Carolina. Absolute bums.
I mean, you and I were texting during that game, and I was like, this is it. We're finally seeing exactly what Texas A&M is. We've kind of thought this for a long time. You know, the beneficiary of a really weak schedule, and then South Carolina just takes the number 1 and 2 all over themselves in the second half.
Choked on applesauce. Just absolutely pathetic by Shane Beamer's Gamecocks, and something that I expected at halftime when I told Chris Marler sitting next to me that A&M would win by 2 scores, which they could have if they didn't throw the ball away at the 3-yard line. So what do you think about A&M? I mean, did Saturday change anything?
Not really. You know, it's very clear that they do not have a lot of battle scars. I guess this weekend kind of counts as a battle scar. Maybe it counts as I don't know if it counts as a Heisman moment. If you get yourself down 30-3 but come back from it, I don't know if that's a more positive or a negative thing, especially against a South Carolina team that you're not nearly as talented as. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when they play good teams, because everyone in the college football playoff is largely going to be better than a lot of the teams they've played this year. So they're in a very unique position. I still think they're a good team, but I definitely don't think they're a great team.
What about Georgia?
They are a great team. I'm eating crow. I didn't think Gunnar Stockton could do it. I think Gunnar Stockton can very much do it. And it's not exactly because they beat Texas the way that they did. That Texas thing was a fun story, but it was just that. It was a story. They were not going to make the college football playoff. I mean, maybe there's a reality where they still can if they beat Texas A&M, but I feel like that ship has sailed, especially now that Oklahoma beat Alabama. But I think Georgia is a legitimately good team. They're good on defense. Not great, but good on defense. And they got a lot of weapons on offense. And now that Gunnar Stockton is playing with some confidence, and they have who I would say is the best coach in college football right now with Kirby Smart, I think they are a legitimate championship contender. I would take them over A&M, that's for sure.
Let me go right down the road from Athens to Atlanta. What am I supposed to take from Georgia Tech beating an atrocious Boston College team by 2 with a 19-6 fourth quarter advantage?
Not much. Honestly, a little disappointing. They should have run Boston College off the field, especially when you talk about a physicality standpoint. I mean, Georgia Tech's whole brand is that they are physical. They're super physical for an ACC team. Their physicality is supposed to be in the same ballpark as some of the Big Ten and SEC teams. And then the game against Boston College this weekend was ugly. And to be fair, Brent Key knew it. I was as upset as I've ever seen a coach who just won a football game in his on-the-field press conference with ESPN, ACC Network, whatever the channel is on. They are limping to the college football playoff. And I think they'll get there because I think they're going to win the ACC championship game. They're better than UVA, but they are not exactly going into the final few weeks of the season with a whole lot of momentum.
Let's talk about Oklahoma, who's got a ton of momentum right now. They win in Knoxville. They go to Tuscaloosa back-to-back weeks on the road, top 15 teams, and get wins. That stuns me. Does it stun you?
It did. It was really impressive. I did not think that John Mateer would be able to make the throws necessary to win, but I also didn't think that Oklahoma, who had played really good defense for a majority of the year, but it showed some real signs of weakness in the passing defense against Ole Miss and Tennessee. I did not think they were going to be able to stifle Ty Simpson the way that they did. That was a really impressive effort by Brent Venables' group. And, we've watched them over the course of the year, and they're a very fast bunch, but I did not think they'd be able to have the amount of success that they did against Alabama. So I was very, very surprised. And offensively, they're still very limited. I like John Mateer. I don't love John Mateer, so they're still very limited on offense. But when you got a defense as strong as they do, you can get away with limited offense.
Do you think Oklahoma's going to make the playoff?
Yes, I do. I definitely thought they were donezo had they have lost this weekend, but because they beat Alabama and they did it on the road, I do. I think they would have a much better resume than Notre Dame, and I would really, really hope it's not going to happen. I know this, but I would really, really hope that the people in that room on tomorrow are going to say, you know what, we were wrong. Oklahoma is a better team than Notre Dame, and we're going to rank them ahead of them. They won't, but they should.
It's a pretty loud statement to go into Tuscaloosa and win that game, so we'll see. I would leave that door open. All right, let's talk about the monster elephant in the room here. I don't know how plugged in you are there in our nation's capital, but the Kiffin stuff down here in the Southeast is nuts. They had their best environment in the history of their program on Saturday night. They beat Florida by 10 points, and then he was asked if he was going to stay, and he just couldn't answer the question. So where are you on this whole deal?
So on Friday, I thought he was going to stay and everything was going to be all right. And it's not the comments that he made after that have led me to change my line of thinking here, but the Mike Elko contract is what kind of changed my line of thinking here. Jimmy Sexton can work multiple contracts at once. And I believe Sexton reps Elko. We know for sure that he reps Lane Kiffin, and that contract could be signed. Like, that process to me seems very simple. You go to Ole Miss and you say, hey, we want X, Y, and Z. And then Ole Miss says, not only will we give you X, Y, and Z, we'll give you W-2. You didn't ask for it, but we're going to give it to you because we really want you to stay, and you are the coach of our future. And then you put pen to paper, and it is over. Signetti, it took him 48 hours. As soon as Penn State opened, and he got $90-some-odd million. And you're telling me Ole Miss can't do the same? Or that Lane Kiffin does not want to commit to that? There's something there. And I think that there's a realistic chance that he leaves. I just don't know how that works with the calendar. I think their success is really making it difficult for him. If they were a 4-loss team, so to speak, and they were not going to make the college football playoff, I think he would already be gone. But they are actually playing too good for him to leave right now. So it's a very weird dynamic. I would say right now, I would still lean. I'd go 55% he stays, 45% he leaves. But on Friday, I was like 70-30, and it's drastically changed.
It's just, I mean, you got politicians in the state tweeting at him now. You've got the fan base that's getting really cranky, and he's just doing nothing to tamp it down during the greatest run in his career. Literally, this is the best situation he's ever been in his career, and he has the opportunity to tamp it down and stay focused on what they're doing, and he doesn't do it. And it just, that speaks very loudly to me.
He's letting his inner demons win because he loves the attention. And we know that he loves the attention because you're right. He could shut all of this up. They could have shut this up weeks ago, and they've just allowed it to go longer and longer. Because think about it. You know, when Penn State opened, you're like, all right, that's an open job. We know that more are going to come. And then LSU opened. You're like, hey, that's an open job. Or Florida opened first. Hey, that's another open job. That raises my value. And then LSU opened. Hey, that's another open job. That raises my value. But if you think about it, all of the jobs that raise his value that are going to be open are already open. So what are you waiting for?
Right.
Like, this should be a very easy contract, not even dispute, but a contract negotiation, and it feels like it's becoming a little bit more of a dispute. I'm stunned at the way that he has handled this. I would have thought that a 26-year-old Lane Kiffin would have handled it this way, but I would not have thought that the 2025 Lane Kiffin would handle it this way.
I've said it all show. I think he's leaving. I don't know if it's to come here or to go to Gainesville, but I don't think he's going to be in Oxford. I don't think he's going to coach a playoff game. I think he will leave before they play a playoff game, and that's just a wild thing to think about.
I mean, that would drastically – there are moments in time that, like, drastically shift the future of this sport. You know, McCaffrey sitting out that bowl game all those years ago is one of them that kind of led to more players doing that. But a coach leaving his team when they were in the college football playoff would be unprecedented.
It would be. Well, I think it's going to happen. We'll certainly see. Not a great slate coming up. The SEC is doing its annual step out of the conference and beat everybody by 40. Missouri and Oklahoma are playing in Norman. You said you think Oklahoma's going to the playoffs, so obviously you like them to win that game at home.
Yeah, I do. You know, Missouri was a fun team. I liked Bo Prevola. I thought he played really well. Without him, they are so limited on offense. And it's just, I know Oklahoma's not great on offense, but I don't know what. You know, if Missouri scores more than 14 points against this Oklahoma defense, moral victories is not what they want to hear, but that would be a very big moral victory for them.
USC in Autzen Stadium in Eugene, kind of their last chance to make a statement to get potentially into the playoff. Oregon's a 9.5-point favorite there in Eugene. How do you feel about it?
Trojans are alive, baby. They could get into the college football playoff.
Yeah.
They won't because Oregon, I think, is going to stomp them, but they are very much alive, and this is the closest they've gotten to getting into the college football playoff with Lincoln Riley. Well, maybe they were close one of the Caleb Williams years, but this is the closest they have gotten. So it's exciting, but they are going to get rocked by Oregon. They looked really good this past weekend against Minnesota.
Short line. I get it. It's on the road. I get it. But Tennessee is going to Florida where they always lose. Line just 3.5 on a 3-7 Florida team against a 7-3 Tennessee team. What do you think?
I kind of like Florida, honestly. Just based off of the line movement there. I thought Lagway looked halfway decent this weekend. Tennessee is just not that impressive to me. Like, Aguilar's fun. Yes, I think Heifel's a really good coach, but I don't know. There's something about them. And Florida has played ranked teams oddly well this year. It doesn't matter who they were. The unranked teams they were not as good against, but the ranked teams they've been really good against.
He's Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime Fridays and Saturdays is with us on Mondays. We'll talk again next week. Thanks, man.
Hunt, appreciate it.
He is Denton Day. Let's come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vole and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If your home was built around 1990, somewhere in that neighborhood, this is about the time where some of those issues in the bathroom can start to happen in terms of functionality with your shower, with some of your plumbing issues. Don't just call the guy down the street and hand him some cash and see if he can rig something up. No, don't do that. Call David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. They've been doing this for 30 years. They can come in and they can do small, different things. They can also do a full-scale renovation if you'd like to do that. Either way, no job's too big, no job is too small. Go to the website and see pictures of some of their awesome work. They can handle the installation of showers. They can handle the removal of showers, the installation of tubs, the removal of tubs. They can handle your vanity and all of the woodworking that goes with all that. They are your one-stop shop for all of this work. They handle closets, they handle bathrooms, and they're happy to handle it for you. Go to onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation, and then if you're looking for financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months. That's same as cash if you qualify. David Duvall, One Bath and Closets. They're online. You can get that free consultation today at onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 5 brands on one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is going to be a silly couple of weeks. If you're just jumping in the car, if you missed the show, Matt's going to have a lot from 3 to 6. You can catch my show on demand wherever you find your sound. My second segment today was talking about Lane Kiffin and the situation currently in Oxford based on what we watched on Saturday, what I've read and listened to, just kind of my reading of the tea leaves, some of the conversations that we've had over the last 24 hours. We've got a story up at LouisianaSports.net. The Advocate is reporting the exact same, that Lane Kiffin's family, including his ex-wife Layla, are in town in Baton Rouge. I told you earlier today that I was listening to Chase Parham and Neil McCready on Blue Sky Live. They cover Ole Miss. They have a podcast 3 days a week. And Chase Parham on the podcast today said that he knows that Layla Kiffin was in Gainesville yesterday. So they're doing due diligence. Everyone's doing due diligence. Ole Miss has got the contract extension ready to go. Lane Kiffin has his agent working with LSU in Florida. Lane Kiffin has his family looking at the situation. They've still got his ex-wife, who they are now simpatico. They are living in the same area. They're co-parenting 3 kids. Landry Kiffin, his daughter, has 1 year left at Ole Miss. He's got a daughter who's on USC's volleyball team. He's got his youngest, who's a boy who is got 2 years of high school left. That's I believe the quarterback at Oxford High. So there are a lot of moving pieces, and everybody's doing their part in this. And the thing that is just evident to me as you look at Lane Kiffin, while he is in the middle of the greatest run in his coaching career, this team, this season at Ole Miss, this is the highest height he has ever reached. He's not tamping down rumors and speculation about going elsewhere and actively having folks pursue elsewhere. That does not mean that he won't wake up on Thursday this week and go, this is where it's going to be. We're going to make the playoff this year. We're just going to keep plugging along at Ole Miss. He can do that. But until he does that, it's now my opinion that he's not going to, and that he's going to make an exit from Oxford to go to LSU or Florida, which he has determined is a bigger brand, bigger stadium, bigger deal in college football than Ole Miss, who set their stadium attendance record on Saturday with just over 68,000. You can call him right. You can call him wrong. I got a feeling if you're listening in Baton Rouge, you would call him right. Got a feeling if you're listening in Oxford, you would call him wrong. Doesn't matter. All that matters is what one guy thinks. And there certainly right now is an amount of due diligence being done by everyone involved. Ultimately, the end result, one thing we know, Lane Kiffin's going to be coaching somewhere next year for a lot of coin. Where that's going to be, I can't tell you right now. But as I've reiterated a couple times throughout the show today, I just don't think it's going to be in Oxford. I don't think so. We'll see. Could be dead wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Would not be the last, but I could be dead wrong. I just don't think he's not going to. I don't think he's going to be in Oxford anymore. So we'll see. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. Flight Tracker season. How about Flight by Yingling season? How about that? Right here, it is just 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. Just what you're looking for in a light beer, but also all that flavor that you're looking for in a cold pop. The oldest brewery in America, Yingling. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
All right, we already talked about it, but let's bring it back. Michael Penix Jr. is out for the rest of the season with a partially torn ACL, and Drake London should be out Sunday, maybe even longer with a PCL strain. Will Tyler Shuck, my savior, put the Falcons out their misery? Take it or leave it?
I'm going to leave it.
Oh, man.
Leave it alone.
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. We got some more time to think about this. Can I trust the Saints to get another one? 2 in a row coming off the bye?
It's the Falcons, though.
It is.
It's the Falcons.
I'll take it.
Okay, we back.
I'll take
we
it.
Back.
I'll take it.
Okay.
We'll take it. Saints, big on Sunday. Big on Sunday.
Yes, and we're doing this on Monday. So, yes, we're doing this on Monday. Okay, so speaking of the Falcons, and I guess you could say the Pelicans are 2-11 with no first-round pick.
That's correct.
And, and the Falcons are 3-7 also with no first-round pick. So, 2 teams squandering with no first-round pick. Take it or leave it.
I mean, you got to take it.
Yeah.
It is
I'll
what it
take
is. You're just in a tough spot.
2 peas in the same pod.
We still feeling good about Derek Queen?
Oh, we feel great about Derek Queen. I was actually in the blender yesterday. So I had to see Steph Curry just to pay $100 and some so while Steph Curry dropped 9 points and Moses Moody become Kobe Bryant. So,
what about my guy that was yelling at Draymond?
oh yeah, I'm so mad I didn't pick that. I was seeing it. I don't know. So apparently, he called Draymond a woman or something like that.
He called Draymond Angel Reese because she was missing shots, getting rebounds, and putting him back in.
You know, look, I get all that, but buddy, we was losing. Shut up, okay? I'm about to say
Draymond got mad about it. Like, that's pretty harmless. Like,
no, it's just trash.
You have the ability to say some things from courtside. I don't need anybody threatening anybody. I don't need anybody throwing anything on the floor. There are lines that you absolutely cannot cross.
Yeah.
Just calling you a little bit of a name there, a little bit of a shot at your game. I think that's fair game.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I would say a lot worse if I was ever courtside. I'm a heckler. I love to heckle. High school games, all that. I'm heckling. It don't matter. So
high school games.
The kids. Hey man, you're on the court. Game is game.
You're on the court.
Hey, game is game. So, all right, James Franklin to Virginia Tech rumors have started to heat up.
Yes.
Can you see that happening? Take it or leave it.
Take it. I think that gig's there. I think Arkansas was very much interested in James Franklin.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure where the Hogs end up in this coaching circle. But James Franklin, I think Virginia Tech's a good fit for James Franklin.
It is too, though.
Virginia's got a lot of good players. He spent time obviously in Nashville. He spent time at Maryland as well. He spent time at Penn State. So he's been in that corridor a lot, recruiting DMV. So I think that's a good fit. I think there's a possibility to have good teams at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, sure.
That program's fallen off a cliff since Frank Beamer left, and I think that would be a good fit in every respect.
No, I like it a lot, especially because I think for a guy like James Franklin, you need to go to a smaller school like that to rehabilitate your image a little bit. Not saying he has a bad image at Penn State, but he's looked at as the guy that just can't win the big game. So you can kind of revitalize that college town over there in Virginia Tech. So last but not least, Giants phenom rookie. Well, he hasn't been a phenom this season, but phenom rookie Abdul Carter was benched for the first series on Sunday because he was quote unquote sleeping in the training room during the team walkouts. Walkthroughs. So, sleeping during a meeting, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that.
Leave it alone.
Look, everybody every once in a while wants to get a little nap in. I got you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've got time to do it. Sometimes you don't. Who knows how much time he had when he went to sleep? Maybe he had some time.
Yeah.
And his buddy forgot to wake him up. You got to have one of the clubhouse guys come in and tap you on the shoulder. Maybe you didn't take the right precautions. Maybe you got to set an alarm too. So, not great though. Can't be sleeping during the walkthrough. We probably need to be out there for that. But I need some more information as to how long he had been asleep, when he fell asleep, if he took some precautions to try to have somebody wake him up. But it seems like not great.
Well, also, I need to know, how did they catch you sleeping? Did you have a blanket? Were you covered up, or were you just had your head down? It's a big difference. You can't have pillows laid out and they caught you sleeping. Can't do that. But that's it for take it or leave it.
All right, that's it for our Monday show. Hope your work week again is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Full shows are always archived every day on podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. You got Hunt on LSU for your LSU content, Hunt on Saints for your Saints content. There should be a lot of it here moving forward. You want Lane Kiffin talk? I've got a lot of it in the show today. Had Michael Katz on from Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal talking about the drama that's going on up there. Talked about LSU and Arkansas. Mentioned a little bit of the Saints with the Falcons injury issues. My picks against the spread, which were atrocious again. Catch all that wherever you find your sound. I'm confident Matt's going to have a lot on Lane Kiffin today, so lock him in from 3 to 6. He'll drive you home. We're back tomorrow for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.